This episode is a tribute to one of South Africa's most senior retail stores, Jack Lemkus. After you've seen this episode, consider making a personal pilgrimage to one of the OGs based in Cape Town and see what it's all about. Let's get into it. This episode of Soul Knowledge is something where we want to focus on one of the most significant retailers in the landscape of sneakers within South Africa and Cape Town. This is Lemkus Sports. Founded in the year 1935 by Jack Lemkus, who was actually an employee of a retailer called Garlics back in the day. And what he did was he used to string rackets as a full-time hustle. But then he thought to himself, you know what, if I can do it for Garlics, I can do it for myself. So the store's actual roots begins in tennis, interestingly enough. And from there, many further sporting codes have developed from that space. Lemkus is actually ground zero for South Africa's distribution for Lee jeans, Wrangler jeans, Levi jeans, Dunlop as a brand, and so much newness that has started off at this place. But today, many other sneakerheads would know that this is the place where you pick up your freshest kicks. If you consider retail within South Africa through the lens of sneakers, most of it predates back to Lemkus itself. And that's significant because sneaker culture, when you understand how sophisticated and advanced it is actually the strongest when it comes to Cape Town itself. The amount of sneakerheads that you get over here, the amount of insights, the OGs that exist are largely clustered in Cape Town. A lot of the OGs that you're going to be meeting in Johannesburg or even Durban is cats that actually come from here. And obviously, at later stages, very credible alternative retailers that have actually popped up in the other cities which have grown the general sneaker intellect. But we can't neglect the fact that we are standing in ground zero for sneakers in South Africa. Now that's significant because when you think about sneakers, there's one thing that is of paramount in its understanding that exists in Lemkus, and that is Nike Air. This is Air country. This is the consumer that understands Air so well. And as I'm going to walk you through the rest of what I'm seeing on the Nike side, you will notice a lot of big Air, a lot of Max. And if you do this type of comparison to other retailers across the country, you will notice, interestingly enough, you won't find as dense a concentration of Max. And it seems to be the kind of product that just sells best over here. And you can ask the brands themselves. I mean, even with my time working at Nike, this was massive peaks for the Air business. I mean, right now, just having a look at the wall, there's just so much happening over here. I mean, we're seeing 97s, we're seeing tailwinds in multiple colorways. We're seeing the 98s also pulling through. Our 720s are pulling through real nicely. There's just a lot of activity around Air and heritage. And this is the kind of environment that even me, as starting out as a sneaker salesman, this is where a lot of my inspiration came from too. I worked at another retailer called Sneakers many years ago. And as much as I understood so much about sneakers, I remember a time quite clearly when a customer had walked into the store and what he was wearing was a pair of Air Jordan 12s. I'd never seen the shoes before and I just knew that what he was wearing was ultra solid. And I said to him, dude, what are you wearing? I've never seen those before. He said to me, Air Jordan 12s. And I asked him, where did you get it? And he said, Lemkus Sports, Cape Town. I was like, dude, I need to go and check that out. At the same time, you know how it is, everyone's got an older brother. My older brother was into it, his sneaker game was solid. And my parents used to take him to Lemkus Sports to get his sneaker game on. So I'm getting my parents, taking my brother for some nice kicks. I'm talking to people at retail, they're coming in with real fly kicks. And obviously the message is consistent, get it at Jack Lemkus. At this point, I've managed to get some older photographs of what the assortment looks like. And have a look at the assortment within this picture right now. You know well that you are not going to find retail that has so many hot sneakers that's still just chilling on the shelf. It just shows you what a different time that this photo was taken in. Now, If we take a step a little bit further back, I wanted to just show you this wall over here. This is some additional, I mean, you thought that was the Mac story that I was talking about with those up tempos and etc. I mean, just have a look at this air story. I mean, it is absolutely just out of control. And just think about it. It's not bought in such quantities if it's not working. There's a consumer who understands that they want that depth. They want to buy up. When I worked at Nike, and I actually also had the opportunity to work with Lemkus as an account that I looked after. It was quite interesting because I looked after multiple businesses at that time. And at the end of a sales season, I would kind of have a look at my revenue that I had planned by customer. And what would be quite fascinating is that I would take total revenue and divide it by the amount of stores. And that kind of tells you what the buying power is per store. What made Lemkus so unique is that it has always been one store. And if you did the same fraction, Lemkus always punched above its weight across any of the retailers that I've been dealing with while working in Cape Town. This is a place that is so well situated, close to the train station. So you're literally coming up the train station. This is the first thing that you are seeing, geographically well positioned in the center of Cape Town. And it just makes sense that the heartbeat of sneakers actually takes place from this point over here. Most cases you have bought a pair of sneakers. I mean, cats have shot music videos. You can see Youngster CPT. How many of his stuff has actually been done on site? This is where those stories are coming from. Everyone has a sense of comfort in coming home to a space like this. Lemkus makes sense and was even cool enough to have Soul Knowledge do another episode on site. So I think just as an ode to Lemkus and as a representative of consumers as a whole, beyond the visitors that come to Cape Town, just for what Lemkus means to us as sneakerheads, thank you. You haven't slacked in the way you've bought. Everything is still at premium level. To this day, the guy that started, Jack Lemkus, that started in 1935, he was the great-grandfather. I mean, his great-grandson is currently still the owner on site every day, dealing with that passion in this business. This is not just left to managers. This is still run by a Lemkus. And that's what makes so much sense. That's why the brands love it. That's why the consumers love it. And that's why the staff feel a sense of pride in working in this place. And let me tell you something. That's why I feel proud to be affiliated with what the guys are doing over here. So, enough respect to Lemkus, the work that you guys have been doing, the culture that you have built. This is literally generations upon generations of sneakerheads that have worked in this space. And matter of fact, when it comes to selling Jordans, you guys have sold the OG, the later releases, plus the later releases, plus the later releases, and the releases that you are still to expect. It's a special place. And if you've not seen it before, you're missing out. If you're coming to South Africa, this should be one location you should see, and a place that's close to so many of our hearts. Mad love to Lemkus. Got a lot of time and a lot of love for you cats.